What's up, everybody? It is Kellen here from Start Your Systems again this week with another edition of Track Walk. This week, today we're doing episode 41, and we're going to do another live playthrough of Track Walk. And we're going to do a track that is another one of my actual creations. This track is called Lofton Bluff Raceway, I think that's what it's called. I know it's called Lofton Bluff, but I can't remember if I named it MX Park or Raceway. Probably should have checked that before I started the video. Anyway, this is the second track that I ever released in Sim, and it was modeled to be an actual national track that you could play in race. And I know the week after I released the track, EMF actually had, well, not EMF proper, but one of the EMF groups got together and raced this French series race on it, which I thought was pretty cool because I was hoping that people would race it, but I didn't really expect them to, I guess. And I don't know how that race turned out, but it's pretty cool that they raced it anyway. And yeah, I mean, I spent, I don't know, probably close to a day in total working on this in terms of hours put in, because there's a lot of elevation change and I had to make a lot of bumps and ruts and stuff like that. And I thought it was a pretty fun track when I made it, and I still think it's a pretty fun track to ride right now. It's got a little supercross track that you can go ride on it, and the national track is roughly a 2-minute lap time. That is if you're going pretty fast on it. I think you can get under 2 minutes. I haven't actually gotten under 2 minutes before myself, but I'm pretty sure that the aliens in this game could probably run under 2 minutes. And yeah, so we're just doing another little live playthrough today and riding one of my tracks for the first time since episode 33 when I did my house compound. And then the only other track that I've ever released besides that was Salton City MX Park, and I did that for episode 7 of Track Walk. So now with this video, all the tracks that I've ever released in Sim will have been shown on our channel. So if anybody asks from here on out if I've done tracks in this game, you can refer back to these videos and download the tracks from here. Do plan on releasing a couple more tracks sometime in the near future. I've had a couple in the wings for quite a while, but not sure when I'll get around to it. I do also want to do a live stream of making a track as a MXS tutorial video, because I know a lot of people have been asking, can you do a track editing video? And yeah, I would definitely love to do that, but I think it would probably be better if I just did a live stream of it all and then uploaded it to the channel later, so I could stream for an hour, get you people involved. Any live questions that you have, you can ask it there. And in general, I can tackle more information to get out to you guys to understand what goes into building tracks and what you need to do to get everything the way you want it before you release a track. And I just got myself caught in probably the worst position on the track, which is on the outside of that turning double section. This track is a little bit one-lined in my opinion. I probably could have done a little bit better with differing up the ruts, but I don't know. I didn't really know what I could change about some of the ruts, because particularly this corner up here, I used to think that the inside rut was perfect, but then I started, well, that's not really what I wanted to show you, but I started playing it with other people, and everybody can wall ride the outside and pretty much not even let off the gas, so it's kind of useless to even try to get to the inside there. Here the inside and outside is a pretty even split, but I think outside again is still a little faster, and then inside is no competition. Here it's probably the fastest. But I don't know. I guess inspiration for this track, if I could point it out, is my favorite track in real life that I ride probably the most of all tracks in real life is Glen Helen. So I like hilly, realistic motocross tracks where the hills actually play a factor and it's not a flat ground track. So I wanted to get as many hills incorporated to this track as I could. I think I did that relatively efficiently. I mean, I don't think that anything here is too over the top except for the jump that is coming back down into the valley after the first couple corners, which I'll show you in a minute. But that jump is absolutely huge and pretty much not realistic in any way whatsoever. You could do it in real life, I'm sure. You probably need more speed and more of a run up than the one that I give you in this game. to do it in real life, but it's still kind of unrealistic because you drop so far down the hill before you land. And I don't know. Well, anyway, this is the jump coming up here after this corner, so you'll see what I'm talking about. You just pop off the top, throw a big whipper tail, but you land way down the hill, and sometimes you can catch one of those bumps right, but most of the time if you OJ it, you're screwed. But if you don't jump it far enough, you like bounce off the top and then float way down to the bottom of the hill because it's so steep. So that's probably the one flaw I would say I had in the track. Like, it's a fun jump, and if you're just wanting to show up and throw huge whips, then that's your jump on this track, but I don't know. I think I could have done a little better with that. Damn it. Want to get a good lap for you guys, and I'm riding like poop. Another thing that I kind of wish I would have fixed before I released it is I left all the grass decals, which you can see on the right and a little bit on the left side there. Not the decals, but the little like statue files that stick. They're like grass that actually sticks up out of the ground because they're a 3D statue. Well, I think they're actually billboards, but either way, I put a lot of them down, and I think in turn it makes the track lag a little bit. You can tell my frame rate's going up and down as I weave through the hills up here, so it does tax your computer a little bit, I guess, but I don't know. As like just a fun practice track, I saw a couple people do videos on it, but like as a fun practice track to learn some techniques, practice ruts and stuff like that, I think it works out just fine. Racing, probably a little bit too laggy, to be honest. So, like I said on Wednesday, we're doing 2 track walks this week, and that's simply just to make up for the missed track walk the week of Indiana when I was in Wisconsin, and Jeremy and I were hanging out almost every day. So he didn't get around to doing the Indiana track walk that week, which was fine. Like, it's okay if we miss videos, it's not the end of the world, but we still want to make it up and try to get as much content out to you guys for viewing, and to also showcase as many tracks as we can. So we got to make up at least one of the track walks from this season, and that's what this video is here for. And I figured, why not show off my track a little bit. Alright, let's see if I can actually land a whip down this. There we go. Brake and get down to the inside. Don't want to jump too far up this hill because you got to get the power down to reach all the way up to the top. A little double up at the top. And then if you can, the ideal line here is to triple and then double, but I kind of set it up so you're supposed to double and then double into the rollers as like the safe line or the normal line, but I try to triple double and then just power up the rollers here. Next lap I'll probably triple roll and then double into the rollers or something like that. It's a little bit faster and smoother, I think, than what I'm trying to do. So, like I said, the lines on this track kind of suck. It's pretty one-lined, but the options I think are pretty good. You can make the rollers work how you want to go faster. I like tracks with lots of rollers just because I feel like that they separate people. I remember racing, the couple times I raced Millville in this game, the sand rollers were a big difference maker, and the people that learned how to like really rip through them, get to the far end and then come back, were making the most passes during the races. And that was something that I learned in 2014 to be a little better at, and I actually did pretty well at Millville in 2014 from a lackluster 2013 Millville. So I like the rollers. I think it's a difference maker, as are the hills. I think the more hills you have and something that can differentiate the amount of drive that you get, you know, you have to be more precise and stuff like that. You just can't come out of a corner and it's all flat, so you can just hold her pinned and be perfect everywhere. I'm kind of more of a traditionalist motocross guy, because actually, while we're on the topic of that, we just came off the MXGP of Assen last weekend. Was MXGP of the Netherlands, but it was in Assen. And for those of you who are like motorsports fans in general, know that Assen is where the MotoGP race happens, the Dutch TT track in Assen. And so they built a like sand track on flat ground on the MotoGP circuit for the MXGP race, which Sean Simpson won the MXGP class, and Tim Geiser won the MX2 class, and Roman Febvre clinched his first world title as a rookie. And in general, the atmosphere looked awesome. Like, there was a ton of people in the grandstands. There was Dutch riders that were getting, like, you know, big time cheers, like Glenn Coldenhoff in the MXGP class finished on the podium, and the crowd was going bananas for him pretty much. So that was kind of cool. But everybody's raving about how good the track was, and the only good thing I have to say about it was, thank God it's not another flat, hard-packed dirt track. Flat, hard-packed dirt tracks suck, in my opinion. Like, I live in Southern California. Never have I ever been a fan of Milestone or Lake Elsinore. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of people that like those tracks. Never been a fan. They get way too hard-packed. They get just chewed up concrete. They suck. And Glen Helen, Kahia, even kind of Paris, because it has a long hillside that you go up and down. Like, those tracks to me are more fun because I like the natural flow of tracks, and that's why Glen Helen is one of my favorites, because the jumps on non-national days are pretty tame. Like, nationals, they throw in like huge uphill triples and weird shit like that. And but during the weekdays or during just regular days when they have, you know, vet guys out there, or, you know, slow pokes like me, they make a pretty fun layout with a lot of singles and rollers and cool stuff like that. A couple tables. I wish everything was tables. I don't like doubles. And it's not that I think, you know, doubles are like extremely sketchy, because I mean, I don't. I think people can use their you know, sensibility to realize they don't have speed to clear the double and check up, or know that they have exactly the right amount of speed. Like, that's more of a common sense thing. The thing I dislike the most about doubles is when you go to, like, you know, let's say I did go to Milestone on some random, like a Wednesday at a Milestone or something like that, or even a Saturday. Even if you don't have like pros, which happens a lot, like I went to Glen Helen a year ago, and there's like 15 pros out there practicing on a Thursday, which I know it's pro day on Thursday, Glen Helen, yada yada, but still, there's like tons of actual pros that are riding and training down here because it's kind of the mecca. But even if there aren't those pros on the track, you still have like A-level, A-class guys that are like local rippers, if that's what you want to call them, that are doing huge stuff that like the everyday Joe rider like me isn't going to be clearing or really even attempting. And so you go out on the track and you're trying to ride and have a good time, and you got these guys that are like quadding things that don't deserve to be quadded, like Rookie White doing that huge LACR jump that was like 250 feet out of a canyon. Like, that shit, kind of ridiculous. Like, they need to figure out ways to tame that down. And I'm not saying LACR is bad for that happening, because he turned basically a tame double and a long table into a quad that's over like 200 feet, which was stupid crazy, and like props to him for being able to do that. But it makes riding for average riders that are out there just trying to have fun really challenging, because they don't want to get landed on. Like, that's my biggest fear when I go to a track anymore, is having to look over my shoulder when I don't decide to triple some jump or something like that, so that I don't get landed on by the pros. I mean, I remember when my brother, who's 8 years older than me, was riding 250 two-strokes for the first time back in like 2002 and 2003 with his buddies, and we were riding at a Brona Oaks MX Park, which is the closest track to me. And one of his buddies, like, they're all riding in a train, and they were doing this like double section that one of the guys out there was tripling. And one of his buddies like slid out on the double, and when he went to get up, and I know that this isn't like really the exact scenario I was pointing out, but when he went to get up, he got immediately landed on by the guy that was tripling. And to me, that stuff's just sketchy. Like, it's a blind jump. It's this, you know, like he didn't really think he was on like a landing, because there was one guy out there that was doing that triple, and so he was on the back side of the triple after like coming up short on the first double and sliding over the second one, and he thought he could just get up and push the bike off the track fine. But no, this guy triples in and lands on him, and fortunately I don't think he got hurt, but I don't know, I just think that stuff like that's sketchy. So that's why I'm more of a purist motocross guy. I mean, my dad grew up racing from the late 60s into the 70s era, so, you know, he was a big fan of the, you know, real OG guys. like Heike Mikkola and Roger DeCoster, Pierre Cars makers, like guys that, you know, riding like the super vintage bikes, Makos, CZs and stuff like that. So I grew up in a real old school moto environment. None of this scrubbing or crazy whipping or anything like that. It was all about corner speed and soaking up straight line jumps and stuff like that. And you know, maybe I can contribute me not liking the flatter supercross type tracks to that atmosphere that I grew up in, but I also think that in general it's just safer for local tracks and even into the pros to not have these ridiculous, you know, 150-foot triples and crazy stuff that, I mean, really, if they go wrong, they're going to really hurt some people. And I know that, you know, even recently we've had some amateur kids killed from big jumps on tracks, but, you know, and unfortunately we haven't had it happen in the pros yet. But I don't know if we keep letting these like supercrossy motocross tracks take over, if we're not going to see something bad happen. I believe it was this guy named Brock Schmelian had a horrific crash, and I might link the video in the description, but he had a horrible crash at High Point this year on that big quad that they had coming out of the back where the big turning double used to be. It used to be like it'd like go up in the hills and then turn left, and then it'd be like a couple rollers before you turn back down to the valley. But this year they made it like a swooping left down through the valley a little bit, and then it comes back up and there's this big quad. And Schmelian like clipped his foot on the takeoff and just got sent. And unfortunately, I think he got pretty messed up from it. I think he's still recovering from his injuries, which is it's sad, you know. Like, you know, you don't want to see anybody get hurt ever, but when you see guys having to start taking unnecessary risks from these huge jumps that are put on the tracks, it's gonna happen, and I think it's gonna get worse before it gets better at this point because nobody seems to be taking any initiative on it. That's just my opinion. I mean, I'm kind of an outside looker. I don't race pros, so I can't, you know, say for sure that those guys are actually super scared by that stuff. But if I were a pro, I wouldn't want to have to be doing 150-foot triples on the track every week. Like, that's a little much for me. So anyway, that's my whole spiel. I mean, it kind of goes along with this track because I made a hillier track and tried to make it more fun and friendly for what I'm used to, which is, you know, rollers and smaller doubles and not huge jumps. The only big jump is a big table back into the canyon. So, but anyway, this is Lofton Bluff. I'm gonna finish up another lap here, and that'll be the end of the video. And sorry for you fans that don't like my spiel about big jumps and flat racetracks, but that's my opinion, and you could either agree or disagree. I'd love to hear your opinion either way. Maybe, you know, we could talk it out a little bit. Always love getting people involved on the channel and trying to figure out where they're coming from as a moto fan and enthusiast versus my point of view. But yeah, that's my spiel, and I'm gonna stick to it. I like real moto tracks with, you know, like kind of ski jumps and rollers and big singles and mostly tabletops with a lot of hills as compared to flat tracks with triples, quads, and unbelievably large doubles. Just my opinion. Alright, final couple corners here and we'll be done. It looks like I'm going to do 8 laps here on this track. So, going to be under a 20-minute video. But thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like it and comment, subscribe as per usual. And yeah, you've been watching Track Walk episode 41, excuse me, here on Start Your Systems.